messages on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 7 Pacific Standard Time. Us fives, we like our private spaces and like to protect them. Breath and Clay, it's so great to be here. You are breath, you are clay. Makers and mystics. You are makers and you are mystics. And this morning, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on that term mystics. I was captivated by that term once again through the Makers and Mystics podcast a few years ago, and I really wanted to explore it particularly in an arts and faith context. The term mystics has been previously co-opted by secular communities, and now somehow culturally when that term appears, it endows a sense of measure, an honor to spiritual pursuits. But I really wanted us this morning to kind of dive into what is a mystic and how can we elevate this role in our believer artist community. So if you will allow me, and I hope you will, I would like to share 5 charges of the Christian mystic that I have drawn particularly from the writings of the French priest and philosopher Teilhard. And coincidentally, we share the same surname. He is my spiritual father. I will let you know I'm a little biased in that way. But he has a lot to say in this area that I'd like to share with you this morning. Chases mystery. The mystic is not a renegade or deserter who does not share the earth's agonies nor its raptures. He too, for all the promises of paradise he had received, knows that he must fight to keep what he holds, and that he must seek if he is not to lose. So what is this chasing mystery? I like to say that chasing mystery is that we seek to understand as well as to enter into what's right, what's wrong, what's the best and the worst, and what is the most accessible and what is the most elusive that the universe has to offer. So the mystic seeks to understand what he or she knows and what he or she doesn't know. And we're ever hopeful that we will one day unravel and tap into this mystery, but we're content with the timing in which the mystery unfolds. So in other words, the mystic vigilantly chases the secrets of the divine. Protect the sacred. Chases mystery, protects the sacred. In his love for the divine, which he sees welling up on all sides, with each new advance, affected by nature, the mystic flings himself with enthusiasm into the battle for the light. It is agony to him to have his vision restricted. So the mystic protects the sacred, and in doing so is embroiled in the battle for the light. And what that means is that as we seek mystery, we allow the unseen and the unknown to overwhelm us in the sacred spaces. That we zealously and enthusiastically guard those sacred spaces. 10 to 7 Pacific time. And if that means maintaining personal devotionals, private communion with the elements, or observing spiritual rites such as fasting. This is one that I really like to hold in on in terms of protecting the sacred, so rites such as fasting. Vesper yesterday talked about mirrors. One of the things that I attempted to do in my effort to protect the sacred is I took a day and went without seeing my reflection. So I woke up, I covered all the mirrors in my house the night before, did not look in the mirror, so no makeup, no hair. I stepped outside boldly and bravely, and I had to bounce my eyes from the reflection in the car window. Saw a friend, and the thing that got me was the reflection in the sunglasses that I couldn't look. But it was one of those things about, in the effort to protect the sacred, we invest and engage in certain rites that take the focus off of ourselves and creates a space for the divine secrets to enter into. Fasting from mirrors didn't last long, but I transformed that actually for me in order to protect the sacred is that I actually fast from time. So I take a day or two a month and there are no clocks. The phone is off. The night before, I have to put a Post-it note on the microwave. You know, in my car, I have an old car with a little digital readout. I have to tape that up. And it's really interesting how when we remove ourselves from these everyday, I would say, conveniences, sometimes distractions, we create and we actually honor that space within us in which we can experience absolute awe. And that's what we're going for with protecting that sacred space. So the third charge of the Christian mystic is to activate creative energy. Anyone who has the mystic's insight will feel within himself a fever of active dependence, driving him on to an absolute integrity and the utilization of all his powers. Fever of active dependence. Huh? What does that mean? Right? Well, I like to say a fever of active dependence. I live on the West Coast. I like to say that means I have a stone in my shoe. I think here in the South, expression is like something gets stuck in your craw. Is that what it is? I don't even know what a craw is, but I think it's a throat or stomach. Something gets stuck there. And when we try to activate creative energy, in other words, another way to put it is, your craw has to be open for something to get stuck in it. So you want to be in this place where you allow yourself to be gripped by the compulsion to create. You want to activate that energy. And by the way, all of this builds on one another. It chases to chase the mystery, to protect sacred spaces, and then to activate creative energy. Next is to share prophetic insight. When the world reveals itself to us, it draws us into itself. It causes us to flow outwards into something belonging to it, everywhere present in it, and more perfect than it. So the mystic, you, me, we inexorably glean insight, particularly in those sacred spaces. And with this, we have an overwhelming impulse to share by whatever means and by whatever manner, with compassion and with awareness that our offerings bring illumination and conviction and ultimately advance healing. And then the fifth charge is that the mystic fights for justice. There is a fight for justice. It is for the mystic to carry out the task of taking possession of the world at that point at which it escapes from other men. What does this mean, to take possession of the world? Well, we all know the verse, in the world, but not of it. And I think the mystic's charge here is to truly operate as a warrior. That the mystic is not removed from the world. That our charge is to intercede and to fight for those souls that have been marginalized, that have been trafficked, that have been abandoned, downtrodden, and persecuted. And that ultimately we are to be more than peacekeepers. We are meant to be peacemakers. The mystic is not a peacekeeper. The mystic is a peacemaker. Gets in there, wrestles it out, reconciles, redeems, interacts with, challenges. That is what the charge of the mystic is truly about. So overall, the mystic should be endeavoring to stand firm in the justice gap with a resounding voice that rebukes social, economic, and gender trespasses. And all of this is being committed around the world. The mystic is charged and compelled to uphold the tenet of love thy neighbor. to mystic, these 5 charges. Chase mystery. Protect the sacred. Activate creative energy. Share prophetic insight. And fight for justice. Now, I will say it is hard to do all of these and be all of these. So my invitation to you is to pick one of these and spend the next few months kind of seeing where your journey is taking you. Identifying where your space is. If you're, in that space of wonder. If you're chasing mystery, if you're going to dive into that. If you're going to spend some time protecting sacred spaces, acknowledging them, if that means fasting, if that means prayer, communion, turning off the phone for a day, covering the mirrors for a day, if you dare, sharing prophetic insight. And with sharing prophetic insight, you don't want to get spooky, and you don't want to get creepy. But you do want to be in a place where you are attentive to your listener, to your viewers as artists, to your audience, and you want to be able to give them enough that invites them into the work that you've created. I always say I know a piece of art is good when I can't figure out whether I like it or not. There's something going on there, but I'm not so sure what, but I know it's something. And so that's when it, invites me to dig a little bit more and find out what is the prophetic message. And as artists, I think we have that charge to exercise responsibility and authority over what we create and make sure that there's a context that's communicated and a context that is compelling and a context that really demonstrates innovation and demonstrates that you've sat with the work, wrestled it out, and that you're putting something out there that's meant to change, heal, challenge, inspire. And then fight for justice. I think this is one aspect in the believer artist community that we really don't, we're still trying to tweak and figure out how that works. I'm a professor at Hills College. We have a table out there, and our school focuses on justice. And we have a program, Theology, Arts, and Culture, which focuses on restorative justice. And how does the artist identify these key issues of trafficking, of economic poverty, of gender trespasses, things like that. And if you are interested in fighting for justice is that one thing you want to pick out, come talk to us, and we'd be happy to share with you how we walk with our students to address that issue. So lastly, as I close, if you feel comfortable, I'd like to conclude by asking you all to lift your beautiful voices in unison. This is the best sounding group I've ever heard. I'm sitting out there, and every time we're singing, all the musicians and vocalists and harmony all around the room. It's overwhelming a little bit, and I feel intimidated. But I'm going to ask all of you, if you just lift your voices in unison and join me in reciting what I believe may be offered to all of us as the Mystic's Prayer. Would that be all right? Okay. The Mystic's Prayer. Lord, it is you who penetrated my heart in order to make its life flow out unto yourself. Let me savor you at length in all that quickens, in all that fills to overflowing, in all that penetrates, in all that envelops, in sweetness of scent, in light,